Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Monday, 6th of October. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Putin says that supply of Tomahawks to Ukraine would destroy his relationship with the US. China has provided intelligence to Russia on Ukraine, says Ukrainian intelligence. And Ukraine confirms drone strikes on one of Russia's biggest, most modern oil refineries near St. Petersburg. So, firstly, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that if the United States supplied Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine for long range strikes into Russia, then it would lead to the destruction of Moscow's relationship with the US. Less than 2 months since US President Donald Trump met with Putin at a summit in Alaska, peace looks further away than ever, with Russian forces advancing in Ukraine, Russian drones allegedly flying into NATO airspace, and now Washington talking about direct participation in striking deep into the world's biggest nuclear power. Trump has said that he is disappointed with Putin for not making peace and has cast Russia as a paper tiger for failing to subdue Ukraine. Putin last week hit back, questioning if NATO was not the paper tiger for failing to stop Russia's advance. So what? I think their relationship's pretty fucked anyway. It seems highly unlikely that Trump has any way of leveraging Putin onto the negotiating table outside of the use of force. So, of course, Trump has now looked for the use of force. Trump's entire goal here has been to try and get a quick peace deal between Russia and Ukraine so he can get himself a Nobel Peace Prize. I think he's pretty open about that being his goal at the end of the day. But, yeah, I don't see how this is any different. And it's an interesting play by Putin because Trump sees himself as like the man to make the deal. So like casting doubts on their personal relationship and the relationship between their countries is a pretty good way of like maybe hurting Trump personally. I think that might be his game here, trying to play like the personality card. But yeah, I don't really see any difference here. Like the relationship between the US and Russia is currently fucked anyway. So yeah, I don't see what he's trying to do here. And next, Ukraine's Foreign Intelligence Service has accused China on October the 4th of supplying satellite data that guided Russian missile strikes in Ukraine. The claim arose amid evidence that China provides Russia with specialized chemicals, machinery, and electronics for its defense technology, though China denies any involvement. Ukrainian officials detailed that the satellite reconnaissance from China helped identify strategic Ukrainian targets, some linked to foreign investment, for precise missile attacks. Specifically, a Russian missile struck a US-owned electronics factory in August, injuring 15 people, and with intelligence citing that Chinese data aided with such a the accusation suggests that Russian and Chinese military cooperation that could affect the conflict's trajectory, though Kiev has not publicly revealed detailed evidence. So what? I think like this is a pretty clear assessment. China wants Russia to prevail in this conflict, and China also wants this conflict to drag the West in as deep as it can possibly go to see what their defense technology looks like and how well it functions in a modern conflict, but also to kind of drain it for any possible provocation against Taiwan. Also, it provides a bit of burnout. Like the West countries are pretty tired of war at this point, having basically been fighting them since 2001. So China's possibly hoping that this war is just going to further exhaust the populations of the West and make them pretty reluctant to support any further conflicts, especially one in East Asia. I wonder if there's anything about them providing information that specifically hit the US electronics factory and whether they want to reduce technology that the US is able to produce. But I mean, it's possible that they could just produce it back in the US and ship it over. But I don't know, an interesting angle to think about. And lastly, On October the 4th, a drone attack struck the Kurishi oil refinery in Russia's Leningrad region, sparking a fire that the regional governor confirmed was extinguished. Kiev says that oil refineries are legitimate military targets because they fund Moscow's war effort, and the Kurishi oil refinery was struck before in September and March 2025 and March 2024. Kurishi is one of Russia's largest refineries, opened in 2017 and located more than 800 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. It processes about 21 million tons annually, producing about 30 different types of petroleum products. Videos show at least one drone crashing into the refinery grounds with smoke rising, while the governor reported no casualties or disruption at a different refinery, possibly. Industry data shows that 38% of Russia's primary oil refining capacity is currently offline as of September 28th, with gasoline output fell by 1 million tons, creating a 20% shortfall, and the Russian government banning exports and preparing to accept imports. So what? That last little bit, that is interesting. Preparing to accept imports. Or as is probably pretty clear, oil and gas is a pretty necessary thing for war. Like it's one of the most vital resources you can have. It fuels your logistics, it fuels your tanks, it fuels your artillery, it fuels your army, right? It keeps your army going. So the fact that Russia, which was once described as a petrol station in the guise of a country, I've got that saying wrong, now looking to accept gas or petrol imports is a pretty significant factor in this conflict, and one that I don't think they'll be too keen to talk about. Yeah. Also, how are they going to pay for it? This all kind of comes back to money. In my opinion, this all kind of comes back to money. And while the destruction of the oil infrastructure is positive and has a direct impact on the war effort, the fact that it's costing Russia money is the bigger piece of the puzzle here. And it's great. And now that they might need to import petrol, they're going to have to pay for it. And pay for it with what money is kind of the initial question. So yeah, not a great sign for the Russian war effort, but a good sign for the West and Ukraine. Keep on defending, boys. Anyway, thank you for listening to the entire brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.